All right. Well, how's it going, guys? So, we're back here once again. It is a Thursday night or possibly even a Friday morning, depending on where you're at. In today's video, of course, I am here to talk about some more Star Wars. And here today, we're here to talk about Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2, Chapter 18. The Mines of Mandalore. So, with that being said, let's just get straight into the breakdown. So, the episode starts off with basically Mando traveling off to Tatooine. And on Tatooine, there is the Bunta Eve celebration going on. And if you don't know what the Bunta Eve is, basically is this whole celebration. And also, that was also the same event where Anakin raced in his little pod racer back in The Phantom Menace. So anyways, though, we catch up with Peli. Now, of course, Peli has appeared both in seasons 1, 2, and also in the Book of Boba Fett. She's basically the droid, or I don't know, how would you call it? Yeah, basically, Peli is just the one contact that Mando has on Tatooine and all that sort of stuff. She's basically trying to scam Rodian by crashing his speeder and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, basically the Rodian was getting scammed, as said, and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, how Mando, of course, travels to Peli because maybe, hell, she might have an idea as to where to get a memory unit from an IG droid and all that sort of stuff. However, though, like she said, basically, before, and that is, they don't make the IG assassin droids much anymore and all that sort of stuff. However, though, Mando does get a bit of a replacement and also a new companion, hopefully in his upcoming adventures. Another, how would you call it? Another person to add to the group, of course, that being R5. Yeah, an R5 unit. Now, before we, of course, continue on, I'm kind of confused as to about what the R5 unit is supposed to be. Like, okay, to basically explain it to all of you, there was an R5 unit in episode 4, the one with the bad motivator. Now, I've heard people said that R5 unit is the exact same one. The one we see in The Mandalorian is the exact same one in and is the exact same one that we saw in episode 4. And while I would really like that to happen, then of course I'm now seeing that it's most likely not and all that sort of stuff. It's just like, I don't know. To the creators, I really have to imagine you have an R5 unit that's on Tatooine, and there's another R5 unit with a bad motivator that's out there somewhere that could have been sold to Peli. Now, no, maybe not too long ago. Then again, what's also very important to mention is that the timeline, basically, as we can maybe imagine, Peli probably owned that R5 unit for maybe a good few 10 years or so, or all that sort of stuff. I don't really know. We're just going to have to see if it's confirmed or not. I don't know. Probably when they release the Black Series figure, we'll probably get some confirmation. But anyhow, so basically, Mando's really, basically he's not really up to the idea of having an astromech along with him. Instead, he wanted IG-11, considering that IG-11 is basically, the only really true friend droid that Mando really had, and all that sort of stuff, whatnot, sort of have you. However, though, he reluctantly accepts R5, and then from that point onwards, they then go straight Mandalore, and Mos Eisley is, of course, erupting in a big celebration, fireworks everywhere, and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. And, yeah, of course, the title of the episode is The Mines of Mandalore. And if you've seen the episode, you, of course, know Mando goes to Mandalore and all that sort of stuff. And what's really odd is that what's really is odd about this whole ordeal is that the fact that it happened that Mando going to Mandalore happens way early in the story than how things usually go in terms of the story. Because think about this. In Mando season 2, there was this big old emphasis on, Mando trying to find a Jedi. Mando trying to find a Jedi. And let's be kind of fair, he did find a Jedi, which was Ahsoka. However, that happened in episode 5. And then from that point onwards, and then, of course, led up to Luke Skywalker. However, though, here, it's only the second episode. So, I mean, we'll talk about the end of this episode here. But however, though, let's go ahead and, of course, just talk about what happens on Mandalore. So, basically, Mando, while they're actually traveling to Mandalore, basically, he was explaining map points of Mandalore and then the Mandalorian sector. He explained the planet where they saw Bo-Katan at. He also explains Concordia, which is, of course, the planet he was raised from. And then also, of course, Mandalore itself, the main center of the Mandalore sector, and all that sort of stuff. And of course, Mando and Baby Yoda, of course, then traveled down to Mandalore, Grogu. They travel down to Mandalore, and, well, basically, the whole planet basically has been turned to glass. Whole planet's been turned to glass, the atmosphere, as Mando, was very concerned about. He made sure that it was able to breathe. That's why he sent R5 into one of the caves. And basically what happens is R5 doesn't come back. Mando has to go in and all that sort of stuff to try to rescue him. He, of course, turned the pressure on his helmet to go down into the cave. And then he's encountered by all these weird monster things. I forgot there's a name for them, but however, though, he gets ambushed by these weird green monsters. What are these? Like the true, what I'm really interested as to what these monsters are. Like, I know there's a name, however, though, are they actually the true natives of Mandalore? And basically the humans, the people of Mandalore that were once, the people of Mandalore that were once there, are they just, well, I guess we can call invaders or something like that? I really have no freaking idea really what they are, so and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, what happens is that Din is ambushed. He slices them up with the Darksaber. He's still not really great with the Darksaber, though, and all that sort of stuff. However, though, the atmosphere is breathable. So him and, of course, Grogu then go ahead and travel down, all the way down to the mines of, well, Mandalore. They go really down into the mine and all that sort of stuff. And one other thing I also wanted to also just talk about here is also how, wow, even though I really wish we can see the city of Zundari before it got turned to glass, however, though, the remains of the city looks really cool. You can really see, the elements of Zundari that were especially in the Clone Wars and all that sort of stuff. Basically, it's the Clone Wars in live action. However, though, unfortunately here, basically it's turned to glass and all that sort of stuff. Hopefully we can get, maybe there can be some other story before the events that happens in Rebels, and all that sort of stuff, before Sabine gave the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and all that sort of stuff. Also, too, just kind of thinking about this, I really have to wonder, how does Sabine feel that she and Bo-Katan were the cause of Mandalore's downfall and all that sort of stuff? Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure I really am interested to know. And I'm really wondering at the same time, hey, Sabine, what were you doing while Mandalore was getting bombed and all that sort of stuff? I don't know. She was probably on some dumb adventure with Ezra. Oh, wait, hold on. Season 4 of Rebels is actually pretty dark, actually. I'm getting sidetracked here, but anyway, Mando and Grogu go all the way down to the sewer section of Mandalore and all that sort of stuff. All these pipings and all that sort of stuff. Pretty much looks like the tunnels that we see Ahsoka and the 332nd troopers traveling in season 7 of the Clone Wars during the Siege of Mandalore and all that sort of stuff. So basically, continuing on, Mando and Grogu continue to travel through. However, though, Mando is then put into this big old trap by this big ass monster looking droid, this big old looking spider droid looking thing that's half machined, half half sentient or half. There's a living organism in there. The whole eye is a organic eye. This weird cyborg looking monster, this weird cyborg looking droid thing. God damn, it looks really freaking cool. They really went out of their way with this. I have to really agree that feels like something that maybe George Lucas would probably approve or would probably be in the prequel trilogy, which that's just cool, man. That's just really cool to see. So anyways, it captures Mando, puts him on top of what I thought was like a little fire pit, where you see in movies and all that sort of stuff, where they hang people on a rope underneath a fire and all that sort of stuff. Hell, wasn't that what was going to happen to Han, Chewie, and Luke in Return of the Jedi? Yeah, something like that. But anyways, what happened here is that basically Mando is basically screwed and all that sort of stuff. Hell, we even see later that that this, like I said, this weird monster, I'm just gonna call it the monster, weird spider droid monster thingamajig, sucking the blood out of Mando and all that sort of stuff. And so what basically happens here is that Mando, of course, tells Grogu to go get Bo-Katan. Grogu quickly gets out of that cave, hops into the N1 starfighter, and has R5 drive the ship, the N1 starfighter. Sorry if I'm looking down here. I got a little, like a pimple right there, and the wind's picking up outside. It's been really weird weather here in California, but anyway, Grogu goes to Bo-Katan's palace. Basically, Bo-Katan pretty much looks really pissed off and all that sort of stuff, just seeing Din Djarin there. However, though, when the baby pops up, she then has a change of heart. All that sort of stuff. Everyone is bringing the good out of all of them when they're up against Baby Yoda. So, yeah, basically, Bo-Katan agrees to, of course, help Grogu and all that sort of stuff, and they travel back to Mandalore. And while she's there, Bo-Katan reminisced on how Mandalore looked before the planet was turned to glass. She also explained, how, hey, I fought with a few Jedi, and yeah, it's just bringing back good old Clone Wars memories, fighting with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, and I don't know, good times. But anyways, getting back to the episode in hand, Bo-Katan is able to reach Din Djarin, and also was able to fight off against the spider droid. And she's actually really great with the Darksaber, actually. Hell, like I said before, she's probably the person to wield the Darksaber and rule Mandalore and all that sort of stuff. Hell, Din doesn't really care. He just wants to have a normal life with Grogu and all that sort of stuff and whatnot, sort of have you. However, though, some things were, of course, some of the plans, those plans, of course, went south, of course, last season and all that sort of stuff. With him removing his helmet and all that sort of stuff. Or I guess at least showing his face and all that sort of stuff. What's the rule? Hell, even Mix Mayfield even asked the question. Like, what the hell's the rule? But anyway, Bo-Katan is able to get Din out of his imprisonment. And, they're camping around a campfire and all that sort of stuff. And whatnot, sort of have you. But Din's pretty clear. Hey, I'm going down to those mines of Mandalore, and I am going to bathe in the waters and all that sort of stuff. Bo is, of course, just not really interested because, well, she's not really a traditionalist and all that sort of stuff. Well, then again, really the best way you could describe the clan of where Din comes from, the Children of the Watch. They pretty much are a cult and all that sort of stuff and whatnot, sort of have you. But anyways, Bo-Katan, of course, insists. She's like, okay, yeah, I'll show you the mines of Mandalore, but trust me, homie, it ain't anything special. So what happens is, of course, they travel through the caverns and through the mines of Mandalore, and then Bo-Katan reveals that, oh yeah, this also used to hold a mythosaur, which, if you don't know what a mythosaur is, it's this big old dragon thing and all that sort of stuff. Also, I just remembered I had this thing. I was making gauntlets, and all that sort of stuff, like stormtrooper gauntlets. It does not fit me. Hold on, let's see if it fits like this. Like, yeah, as you can see, like stormtrooper gauntlets and all that sort of stuff. Or, yeah, it nah, not really. I have no idea what I was doing. I was bored, okay? So we'll put that back. I definitely did not have any time to make the rest of that. So going back to the episode itself, Bando goes to the mines of Mandalore to be bathed in the waters, and he recites the creed saying, however, though, he's then sucked it. What's funny is just that he's just walking into the water. I'm just like, homie, should you check if that is deep enough? Hell, he probably doesn't really care, but no. Literally, he gets pulled into the water, and then immediately Bo-Katan goes in there. Before I talk about that back there, the symbol on that gauntlet, I kind of want to, of course, talk about here Din and Bo-Katan's their interactions and all that sort of stuff. It's really cool interactions, and it's a pretty cool interaction to two very, while both are Mandalorians, and I don't care what the armorer says, Din is a Mandalorian and all that sort of stuff. It's really interesting to see the opposing kind of ideologies of both Bo and Din and all that sort of stuff. And while I've said before that Bo-Katan can't be trusted, and really, quite honestly, this episode really is making me really kind of consider those comments. Because really, I mean, in both instances, and really also another thing you have to also consider too is that throughout the whole episode, I was thinking she's only going to go to Mandalore only to steal the Darksaber from Din and all that sort of stuff. However, though, then it got me thinking that, oh, well, she just can't simply just take the Darksaber away from Din, because then again, people aren't going to think. Of course, once again, it's going to be like another Sabine situation where someone's handing her, the Darksaber and all that sort of stuff, and it'll just look really bad on her and whatnot, sort of have you. But anyway, Bo really in this episode was just, in two instances, she was really keen on saving Din, which really, to be quite fair, I mean, should she really, go out? Should have gone? Like, she didn't really need to do that and all that sort of stuff, but she did anyway. I think the first reason was just because, well, hey, come on, it was Grogu. So it's like, of course she was going to help the kid. But then, of course, Din gets sucked in and she saved him once again. Or she went down, didn't even take the Darksaber or anything like that at all. But anyways, let's talk about the big reveal. After Bo saves Din from the waters, or while she's trying to bring him up back into the water, and she was using her jetpack to go up, because I have to imagine you can't swim in that heavy ass armor. However, though, what of course happens is that in the waters we see a mythosaur. Now, the mythosaurs were believed to be extinct. That is not the case. There is a mythosaur alive and well in the chambers of Mandalore. You ever kind of wonder, Now it just gets, I have a whole lot other, I just have a whole buttload of questions here now. Like, how is that mythosaur still down there? And also, how, well, maybe, hell, let's just kind of, well, I don't know, maybe let's just, could it possibly be, like, what did Satine, of course, Bo-Katan's sister, which weirdly she doesn't really mention in this episode. What, did she just had a freaking dragon in the lair and all that sort of stuff and did not want to mention it to the people? Was it hidden there? Or, hell, do you think Vizsla knew about it? Did Maul knew about it? Could he have just gotten that dragon to fight in the Siege of Mandalore? Or the most likely possibility is, I don't know, they found a mythosaur somewhere on another planet in the Mandalore sector, and then it was brought there by maybe the Empire, maybe by someone else. We don't know. So many questions here right now. And then the episode just straight up ends right there. Yeah, on a pretty big cliffhanger and all that sort of stuff. But anyways, if it's not really obvious, I really like this episode. Better than last week's episode, the premiere, the apostate, and all that sort of stuff. The main reason why I think this is a far better episode is, well, for the number one reason, of course, being that this is really where the season really begins. Also because we went to Mandalore this early in the story, seeing the mythosaur, and seeing Bo-Katan, fighting and all that sort of stuff was pretty damn cool to see. Kay Sackhoff really does a great job playing live-action Bo-Katan. She was great. While, like I said, I don't like the character, hey, Kay Sackhoff does a good job at portraying basically a very sort of bitchy person. She's really good at that. So, good on you, Kay Sackhoff, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, hey, I'd rather her be the female co-star with Din rather than some overrated chick that does some movies with Ben Shapiro now. But anyways, I like this episode a lot. And I still have one more Star Wars episode to talk about. However, though, I'm going to save that for another day. Probably I'll maybe record it during the weekend. We'll just have to see. And it's an episode and it was the Bad Batch episode, which beats out this episode, actually. I'll talk about that there in another video. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did watch this video to the end, I thank you. Please, thank you very much. And I'll see all of you in the next video.